Welcome to this Moving Panels One Shot. Let's have a nerdy little conversation. And it is almost Valentine's Day, and so you know what that means. It is once again time for our annual date night movie with me and my wife Bethany here for Valentine's Day. And so joining me today to discuss how we think this might go this year is my wonderful wife Bethany. How are you, Bethany?
I'm good. Can you read my sign? It says, "Will you marry me?"
Oh, okay.
Will you marry me?
Yeah. Already did. So this year we are going to do the movie Marry Me, which many people may not realize is
kind of a comic book movie.
Kind of a comic book movie. We haven't watched the movie yet, but we both have read the comic. And the premise of the comic is a pop star marries a random guy in the audience who's holding up a Marry Me sign. Of course, apparently several other people were holding up Marry Me signs too, but again,
this guy named Guy seemed special.
Yeah, but we'll get into all of those details next week when we review and discuss Marry Me. But what I wanted to talk about is this is our third year doing this. Mm-hmm. And it's been an interesting run of these date night shows. So year one, we ran through all the different movies that we thought could be good date night shows or date night movies, and what we thought would be the best date night movie. And we locked in on Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and you were super excited.
I was so excited, Laramy.
So excited. And then we watched it.
And then I was not excited anymore. I've never been excited since then.
Because it does not hold up.
It does not.
And not saying it's a bad movie, but content-wise, it does not hold up.
If it was made again, which I think it's a movie that could honestly benefit from a revisit. Like, I know a lot of people don't like that we're rebooting everything, especially something so recent. But I feel like the content of that movie, specifically, it's still so modern and new that if you were to reboot it with not quite such gross undertones,
well, we also talked about it
really
being a series. We said it would be good if it was a TV series.
Yeah.
To do that instead. So yeah, that wasn't great.
No.
Then last year,
honestly, huge hit. No notes.
Last year, you made the decision, and we watched Barbarella.
I did.
The Jane Fonda classic Barbarella, based off of the French graphic novel of the same title.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and that one was interesting.
You know what? The more time that has passed since I've seen it, and it's probably because I just don't remember, I'm just like happy that we did that.
Yeah.
But so much time has passed. I think it's like a memory block.
I don't know how much of it is a date night movie though. It
was a date night for us.
It was. But I don't know if it's one you would really suggest to be a date night movie.
Yeah.
For people.
So this year you took charge. You said, no, this time it's my decision.
Well, and it was mainly because, Marry Me just came out.
Well, we've been talking about doing this movie since it came out, and you discovered it was a comic book movie.
Yeah, when I discovered comic book movie, I was like, oh, well, definitely got to do it. And then it just hit me, hey, why don't we just hold off and do it for Valentine's Day for our movie. So, yeah, we haven't seen the movie. I've actually purchased it, but we also have it on Peacock. But I did get a hold of the comic. There are 2 comics. And we got a hold of both of them. We're pretty sure the movie is only going to take any inspiration from the first one.
And even that, just the premise of the idea of, it's a pop star. She sees somebody in the audience with a Marry Me sign, and so she does. And I think that's where all similarities are going to end.
Yeah, because in the comic, he goes to the concert with his best friend who's a female. Mm-hmm. But we're pretty sure from the trailer of the movie he's going with his daughter.
Yeah.
So that aspect, which is a kind of a key aspect of the comic, is complete. We're pretty sure that's completely taken out. I'd be curious to see if any of the dad stuff comes into play.
I would also, if there was some sort of pull of like why, because in the comic it plays on this idea that she's a philanthropist, she does a lot, and the people around her worry that she's too impulsive which plays into, she married somebody on stage just randomly. I'll be interested to see if there's any like nods to the comic. Although,
yeah, I don't know
even
how
if
much you're
there
gonna do.
isn't.
Yeah. And the actual like getting married to him is such a it's a side thing in the comic.
Right.
Like they don't even focus on it. You see it through a monitor that his best friend's watching when she has to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So they don't even make it an event in the comic.
Right.
It's just it happens.
Now, are you going to talk more about the history of the comic during the actual episode?
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. I will say that I lucked out, and the 2 copies that I got are signed by the creator.
Now, I will say, and maybe you want to hear more about this in the full episode, but I really enjoyed the comic. I was a huge fan of a webcomic called Questionable Content when I was in like high school, early college. Like read every episode, and it was very reminiscent of that style and that tone. Just kind of silly, funny. It's clearly not based in any sort of reality that could possibly exist. But it was just kind of lighthearted and, it was just fun. Like it was, setting something up, leading up to it, punchline.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that aspect of the comic.
Yeah. And this was, I'll go ahead and say that this was a web comic.
Right.
That then they published into print form. But yeah, so do you think this could 3 finally be a charm? Could this actually be? We've got Jennifer Lopez.
I love J-Lo.
Romantic comedy, icon.
Queen of the rom-coms.
She's taken over from Julia Roberts and Meg Ryan from the 90s. We've got
I do enjoy I don't want that to sound facetious. I genuinely enjoy her movies. I know I'm not going to watch them expecting some phenomenal performance that's going to make me think about it for years to come. But I'm going to sit there, I'm going to enjoy it.
What are you talking about? They do college classes about Made in Manhattan and the philosophy.
Look, no lie, not being a joke, I love The Wedding Planner. When that movie came out, I had it on DVD. It was like one of the first DVDs I owned. I listened to the commentary track with Adam Shankman, and because he was the director, and I just adored that movie. I knew way too much about that movie, and it's cute and it's sweet and I love it, and she's just charming.
Was she also Monster-in-Law?
Yes.
Okay. So, hey, we got a Jane Fonda connection.
Hey.
So, can we actually link our movies together? That would be the thing. I'm not going to try to do that right now, but
I will try later.
Yeah, but if Jane Fonda is in anything that features anybody from Scott Pilgrim, then we have connected all of our movies together.
Or if somebody from Scott Pilgrim was in Monster-in-Law, could we make that?
Well, but then you would jump Jane Fonda altogether and just go straight to J-Lo.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
So anyway, and I think Owen Wilson, is charming.
He is,
and so he could play. I'm kind of curious as to their chemistry.
Yeah, I will say though, even in the comic, Guy, who is the guy. Owen Wilson character, he doesn't have too much of a personality, at least not in the first book.
Yeah.
He's just kind of there. And he kind of acts as like a, he kind of acts like just a conduit to open up things to help other characters develop more. Like he asks the questions, he listens, but there's not much to him. He's kind of a blank. He's a sexy lamp,
But see, and that is the thing, he, nothing against Owen Wilson, but Guy in the comic, it does seem like he's your typical rom-com, Josh Duhamel type character, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
You know, that he's
little
got
less
that
personality than what Matthew McConaughey brings to the table, but yeah.
that he's got the you know, amazing good looks and all that, but again, Owen Wilson's going to bring the comedy.
You say amazing good looks. He seems like moderately attractive.
Yeah.
And isn't problematic. He's a school teacher, so therefore we love him.
It's just, I wouldn't envision Owen Wilson when I'm reading the comic as to this is who I would pick to play this part.
No. Owen Wilson's kind of a bigger personality in certain things, so I don't know. Of
course, you don't envision J-Lo either, because the pop star in the comic is
a blonde white lady.
Yeah, blonde white girl. Do you think that because again, we only know what little we saw in the trailers when it was released. We don't know anything else about the movie. Do you think there's going to be the sister manager
I hope
aspect?
So. I hope there's like, at least, if not a sister, a close friend that's kind of her bouncing off thing, like someone she can talk to who's trying to help her navigate through this weird situation she's in. I'm interested to see like how they delve into it, what all of that entails, how they interpret the story. Yeah. I mean, obviously she's not going to give, what was it, some ridiculous percentage of her income
it was like
to charity. 99% of her income goes to charity. I was like, no, it doesn't. I can promise you that right now.
And then we know that in the movie, the ex-boyfriend is going to play, I guess, a bigger part. He is in the comic, but he kind of shows up and then is almost immediately done away with.
Yeah, almost immediately punched in the face.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But also played, like, was not even a little bit important, at least not in the first comic. In the second comic, he kind of showed up a little bit more. He was a fun little, like, honestly, it felt like a sitcom a little bit, just like a bunch of setups to lead to a bigger joke, and then the joke played off, and then everything that set it up got forgotten about.
Yeah. What do you think about do you think there's going to be the bodyguard character?
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if they don't combine certain characters, because there's a ton of characters in the comic. Like, a ton of little characters. The bodyguard in the comic, he kind of plays this, he doesn't like the friend. He doesn't seem to like anybody. And he's funny. He's enjoyable, but he doesn't, like, other than bringing a few jokes and stuff to laugh at, he doesn't really add anything to the story. Do you disagree?
No, I could see that. I mean, but you know, you always got to have that kind of you know, the sidekick in the.
Yeah, but I think you get that from her sister /
You think you would have enough of that?
Yeah.
That you wouldn't need the. Like, I'm honestly, I'm sitting here trying to think of what character I'm thinking of. You know, like the Jason Alexander character from Pretty Woman, although he's a horrible person.
He's the villain.
Yeah.
He's the villain of the piece.
So maybe
the
not
bodyguard's not.
So,
yeah.
Martin Short from Father of the Bride. Like,
okay.
You need that type of.
Like some sort of comic relief.
Yeah. Little goofy side character. And my mind's just, you know, going blank on all the, you know, John Candy in Splash.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, that.
We watched that recently. He is a terrible person in that movie. I love John Candy, but he's so bad in that movie. I don't like it.
But that type of character. You know, Dave Chappelle in You've Got Mail.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. I think, you know, depending, I don't want to watch a 2.5 hour long, you know, rom-com.
Actually, no, not Dave Chappelle in You've Got Mail. It would be the older people. They would be the side little characters,
like the bookstore employees.
Well, no, like
Steve
his
Zahn.
Like Steve Zahn, and then his grandfather and the older woman. Yeah. Was it Meg Ryan's? It wasn't.
Well, it was like Birdie was the name of the character, but she's the woman from that played the piano in that old sitcom from the 80s.
Oh yeah. All in the Family. Yeah, All in the Family.
There you go. That's how my brain works. People.
That's okay. My brain's not thinking of her name right now either. So, all right. So are you excited about Marry Me?
I am. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun little change of pace. Here recently, you've dealt with a lot of bruh movies.
Okay.
So I think this will be
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Look, I'm your biggest fan. I listen to every episode you do. You know this because I provide you with feedback.
Yeah.
After I've listened.
Yeah, but we're coming off not too long of doing the worst superhero movie bracket and Barbed Wire at the end of the year and Howard the Duck to start off this year.
Blech.
So, but I mean, we did just do Wednesday, and you enjoyed Wednesday.
I did enjoy Wednesday.
So now we've got Marry Me, and that is what we are going to watch coming up. And so our episode next week will be Bethany and I for our Valentine's Day special. Just a day or two. It's a day before. Yeah. So day before Valentine's Day, we are going to come at you with the Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson romantic comedy.
Comic
Marry
book
Me.
movie.
Yeah.
Comic book movie. The J-Lo
comic book inspired. This is going to be one of those
the
inspired.
J-Lo comic book superhero film, Marry Me.
Yeah. Yeah, not a superhero film. All right. So thanks everybody for listening. Tune in next week for that Valentine's episode, and hey, watch it with your you might celebrate Valentine's Day the weekend before, since Valentine's Day is on a Tuesday.
We're celebrating it like 2 weeks before.
So get that get it watched, and you can enjoy it with us as we talk about Marry Me next week here on Moving Panels. But for today, for Moving Panels, I'm Laramy Wells, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-host to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.